Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a very popular show hosted by Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, which boasts millions of listeners each week who are well known for and have been complimented on their very laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, esoteric, and other areas of high strangeness, and more. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm in the category Best Female Hosted Podcast. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and do it now.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Outer Realm Wednesday night segment. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee. And thank you, Folgers. We could not do it without you. Big thank you to Dr. Snick, aka Justin Snicker, the sonic surgeon, who is responsible for the intro that you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on any of your favorite streaming platforms. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the banners and logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. He specializes in the horror genre and does phenomenal commission pieces. So go check him out. Tonight, guys, let me just back up a little bit. Outer Realm, of course, has been nominated for a third year in a row for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. You would have heard that at the beginning of the show. So we are under the category of Best Female Hosts. Just saying. So, go check us out. It'll be voting time. We should be opening up fairly soon. So you're going to be hearing a lot of promo coming up with that, including ours. So be patient with us as we go through the show and get all this promo out there. So tonight, we welcome the return of our dear friend, Wayne Mallows. He is the author of the Vampyre Tales, and he did speak about that on not just our show, but also on Fika with Vicky, which was probably about a month ago now. So she's another host on the network, and I believe she airs at 1 o'clock Eastern on Thursdays. It was a phenomenal interview. But tonight, we're going to be talking about the paranormal. He's a paranormal experiencer and TV presenter, also former owner of a haunted manor house, and has had a lot of really amazing experiences. So that is what you guys get to expect tonight. And I already see all kinds of comments chiming in. And while we are on the comments, please remember, we're sort of like this superhighway that comes in from like 7 different lanes, because Roku doesn't have a chat room. So we're down to 7. Not like we're ignoring everybody, but it's coming down to like 1 lane, and we see it all on the chat board. We will try to get to comments and questions and so on, but you'll have to be a little bit patient with us if you don't mind. So, Bubbles, how's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? It's good.
This is good. It's been one of those days.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
right. You don't need me to tell you. You don't need me to tell you, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think Wayne is having a bit of problems with his port. So I'm going.
Well, we can say hi to everybody in chat.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can go in. Well, we have a question for Wayne. So
I know. I can't wait.
So, Yeah, we will get to everybody. So,
Yeah. Uh,
Zach, man,
that's a
yeah.
dad joke if I ever heard one. Zach, I
What?
love it. He said, "I just got in from PA and my arms are killing me." That's what's his name? Oh my god.
Zach, man.
The guy
I don't
from
remember the movie. Yeah,
yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? The
I
comedian.
know.
I can't
I
remember his
do.
name.
I do.
Yeah.
That
That's
was
an old school, and I love it. Hi,
talk about
everybody.
vampires. Well, we could talk about vampires. We can include just about anything, really.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So we're
Yeah.
going to bring Wayne on, and let's just see where he's at with it. No sound. Sorry, it's just me. Okay, 1 second.
Yeah. I'm looking really short next to
Unmute.
Michelle because I'm really far.
Okay.
I'm waiting for my new glasses. Yay! Unmute.
Unmute. Your mic's not connected, so I can't unmute you. You try and unmute. There we go.
Yeah,
Better.
muted.
Yay! Can
How's
you
the
hear us?
feedback?
It's good.
No feedback?
No.
Nope.
Okay, good. Because I can't, when I plug the headsets into the port, it's just like bad.
That's not
I got to
good.
tell you, he sounds better than you do.
He sounds
I want
better
to
than
steal
I
that. You
do.
might want to steal that headset.
There's no headset.
Wow.
Oh.
There is no headset. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, my mic is closer. Is this a little better? There we go. Or maybe
No,
there's
there's a hollowness in your sound. His sound, I guess it's the room that he's in too.
Oh,
is-
yeah. Well, I'm in like this hobble of an office, and I'm still waiting to work on my lighting. And he's in his grander room, even though we're
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
unpacking. So we're just sort of like limited.
It's got
So
Wayne has the good lighting.
I know.
Quiet room.
I know. I'm just
Yeah,
like, we're just
Sitting
gonna
in the
like.
sun here. It's great.
I know that's well, it's a vampire thing. Maybe I don't know, but it's funny because we have people who want, who are asking author questions, and we've got, people who want to talk about vampire stuff, and we're sitting here thinking, okay, it's like a paranormal chat. So, you know what? Why don't we give you a little bit of time? See, paranormal discussion kind of says that at the bottom. So, anyway, and there's Wayne's website. You guys can go read the chapter of the first chapter of all your books. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my
First
God, get the
chapter of every
books,
book
get the
is on there.
books.
You can read it and see if you dig it.
Yes.
I like
And if
that.
you don't, we don't know you because those
I know.
books are really good.
I know.
Hello,
Okay.
hello.
So
Yeah.
why don't we just like have a quick recap from your last show? So let's talk a little bit about the Vampire Tales and your research and stuff like that. But then we're gonna kind of get into the Manor House, and we're gonna just sort of get into paranormal talk. How about that? Where do you want to start?
That sounds fine. I mean,
Okay.
when you say talk about the Vampire Tales, like there's 4 books. I'm working on 5 right now, and it's vast. So if there's like something in specific you want to know about, then let me know. Otherwise, we can fill 5 shows with me just blathering on about vampires and research.
Yeah. And when were you going to tell me about 5?
I did tell you about 5 the last show.
Okay.
You sure
Really?
did,
I
yeah.
don't remember what
Yeah.
I ate for breakfast.
Neither do I, so I don't hold it against you. Right?
No, we have the same memory disability. Wayne and I both have horrible memories, but yeah.
Book
I'm gonna write
5.
that down. Book 5.
I'm probably about 13,000 words into it, and it's a companion book to book number 3, which is Unnatural Selection.
I haven't got there yet. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I have to. Yeah, I know. I haven't picked up a book since my daughter, like everything. But anyways, that's a different story. But I'm excited to see it because, like I said to Michelle, I'm not picking up a book unless it's his. And I have a stack of books and books that get sent to me. I'm like, sorry, can't pick it up till I finish Wayne's. I'm adamant about sticking to the series because you started me in a different place.
Yeah, well, you started with like book 4, which is kind of a prequel. It goes back into sort of medieval times. But right now I'm stuck doing renovations, so that's maybe this fall.
Yes. I know.
It's not my
Sorry.
fault.
I know. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we just recap a little bit and what prompted you to write the Vampire Tales series to begin with?
It wasn't supposed to be a series, actually. It was just supposed to be a single book. Whitechapel Road was supposed to be a standalone novel. What had happened was I was asked to create a believable character, a believable vampire character for an event, like a Halloween event. And so I did. And it was it was tricky because that character had to interact with the different crowds and different people. So I had to be very thorough about creating a history backstory for this individual. I spent months on everything from the guy's name to birth dates to you name it, everything, so that when somebody comes up to you and goes, so you're a vampire. Wow, cool. How old are you? What's your name? What's your mother's name? All that stuff. I had it all. It's all there. Boom, 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 right on the top of my head. So after the event was done, I'd written all this stuff down and I looked it over and I was like, geez, I should just write a book. It's all there. I just have to stitch it together. And so Whitechapel Road was born. And when I finished it, I wasn't even finished it. And I wrote the ending to book 2, which was Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary.
I love the title.
Yeah, it's very.
That one got an award. That one
Really
got an
solid,
award too.
actually.
Yeah, I love the title.
And that I wrote the ending to that, and then I built the whole story up to the ending because the ending's cataclysmic. By the time I was into like book 3, I wanted to rewrite book 1 because it was never supposed to be a series. There was a lot of little holes I wanted to fill, and now book 1 is proper. It's dated right. Everything flows and leads into the other stories properly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Cool.
well, book 4 is my favorite.
Yes, I know. I put your name in the front of it.
It's really
That's right.
it's really hard to put down that book. I'm glad that you started me on 4. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm that person that wants to know everything before I get into something. So it was nice meeting all the characters. And I've said this before, you've done this so well. The way that you prepped and the way you wrote. Wayne literally sat on his porch in the winter
Oh, yeah.
typing to
Oh.
be able to feel everything that you get to feel when you read those words. It's
Right.
so incredibly written, and he's extremely humble. So I'm just going to brag for him.
Right.
It captures you and takes you back to a time. And I guarantee you will find yourself in, if not one character, maybe more than that. And you find yourself captured into an adventure, a romance, and history all at once. It's so beautifully written. I felt the chills in
No,
the air
that's
reading
good,
that snow scene. You did a really good job.
Thanks. I mean, for me, I have
Thank
to write
you.
it from sort of a memory point of view. Like I spend hours going through dialogue and would they say that? Would they shorten it up? Would they make it longer? Is it too flowery? Is it too deep? Blah, blah, blah. And it was the same for outside. I would literally walk down a laneway in my mind dozens of times, take in every detail of it, every spider web, every drop of water. Hi, Tyler. Trying to just get the feel of it so that when I actually write it, I'm writing it from, I was there, it was raining that day, and so forth. And then it just kind of comes out, and people will write me and say, like, God, the hair stood up on my arms. I actually felt the chill when you talk about a wind blowing down the laneway and so forth. So when I wrote Dark Origins, which is book 4, it takes place in the winter, a very strange place for a vampire story to take place in winter times. But it was winter times in the Dark Ages kind of thing. And sort of, I don't put a date on it, but it's around like the late 1300s.
Oh, it's
And,
fabulous.
it's cold. It's miserable. It's just, you can't get away from the cold. Like in that time of year, if you're outside, you're outside. That's it. So that's what I wanted you to feel. So I took my computer outside and I thought, how long can I function outside if I'm dressed properly and on a computer? Let me tell you what, not long. It was pretty miserable.
Yeah, and imagine the place that you're speaking of was probably even colder.
Very much so.
It's you really set the scene for the desolate, the ice. Like, I don't want to give it all away because I want you guys at home to read this book, because if you're gonna, I would, even if you like things like I'd like to know ahead of time, start with that book if that's
Don't
what
you
you
dare. You
want.
start with number 1.
Okay, sorry, I can't say that because he is the author and I don't have that right. I'm just saying I loved starting there and I found myself in it and I was happy. So I look forward
It's
to
a
see
great book.
where
Yeah.
they go from there.
You'd
Yeah.
like book 3 though, honestly. It's
I would have liked all of them, Wayne. You wrote them,
it's just so real and raw. I was talking with somebody just recently about that, how raw it is. It's not like flowery. It's like, oh my God, you're a vampire. Wow, I'm going to fall in love with you. Wow. Nothing like that. It's very tumultuous. It's very heart-wrenching. It's very life and death all the way through.
Oh my God, am I gonna cry?
And many of those
I cried a lot in book 4, though. I did.
Oh, you'll bawl in book 3.
Thanks.
My sister read book 3 and she was just like, oh my God, I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried.
Yeah, but she was also very like, oh my God, that sex scene.
Well, it's just my sister.
My brother
Easy.
wrote
The
that.
sister was like,
My
oh,
I don't want to
brother
hear about
wrote
what my sister does.
I know.
Yeah, you don't want to read something like that your brother wrote.
No. Puts me in a different light.
It puts you in a different light, and it's kind of like ick when
You
it's
read
your
it,
brother.
you're kind of like, oh. Well,
Yeah,
then.
both my kids read it and went like, you wrote that. Who wrote that scene? I'm like, me.
Oh
You wrote
crap.
that scene? Yes. I know. Let's just make
Do you-
that get on with
so
it.
so now they're like, hey, we gotta up our game.
I know. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. Look at that. We didn't even have our background. That's
Oh
better. I feel
gosh, that's
better.
why it was
I
so
knew something
dark
was
looking.
missing. I know.
Hey,
That's
speaking of
why.
backgrounds, I was
So-
looking at the promotional picture you put up. Who's that guy with the really long black hair who looks young?
I took the picture that I was given.
Okay. I didn't know who that guy was.
I know who
those
he
days,
is.
This is the me.
Yeah, I met him that way, so I know who he is.
Great,
But I like you the way you
great.
are too. I
Old.
love it. Men look great with gray hair. It's you guys really it really sucks how you guys can get older, look better, feel better, not go through menopause and all that other crap. It's wonderful.
Yeah, we go
Do you
through
want to tell
menopause
Chris
every
where to
day.
get your books, Wayne?
Menopause, think.
Oh yes, Chris.
Fail.
Chris.
Do I tell how to get your
You got to get them through me. It's a bit tricky because I was having stuff stolen. Even in the printed format, people steal your stuff. So they
Yeah.
were ordering stuff and I wasn't getting paid for it. So if you contact me through email or on my website, I can work out how much it costs to ship a book out. I do everything myself. It's self-published. It's self-printed. All the paper, ink, everything's from Canada. And
But the books are real quality.
I was just going to say they're
Yeah.
very high quality. We're
I
very,
don't ship
very
anything out. I don't get it printed overseas, and it's
beautiful.
a heavy
quality
paperback for sure.
Oh, it's
Right.
gorgeous. And when it's a big book, and when you're holding it open, it holds its own. You're not struggling to
Oh,
keep
you'll
that
struggle.
book
That
open.
is the ton. The only book that
The
doesn't
heavy
have a ton is,
books.
the
Yeah.
second book.
They're heavy books, but when you're into it and you're in there, it's
Yeah.
hard to put down.
I only laugh because I hit Wayne with one of them one time.
Yeah, thank God it was the little one.
He startled me
If it
one
was
time.
book 4, you would have gone far.
Oh yeah, it was just instinctive. He startled me with freaking bubble wrap, and I went bam. He said, "Did you seriously hit me with my own book?" I was like, "I think I did."
It's amazing the work we do and how easily we are startled. Let me just tell you.
Yeah,
We
thank
are
you for that,
very
Mr.
easily
Bubble Wrap.
startled.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Bubble
thing.
wrap is fun. I love bubbles.
Don't play with bubble wrap when you're around Michelle, just saying.
It's not just normal bubble wrap, but these freaking things about tubes. About
Oh,
this
the ones
big
from
and,
Amazon.
oh yeah,
They
it's
go
just a bam, and I'm
Yeah.
just like boom.
It's like a book flew off the shelf kind of thing. That
Yeah.
kind of boom.
It was just a little book. It was just a
So,
smaller book.
I have a question for you because I haven't seen you or spoken to you in a while, and other than text, and I wanted to ask you, my friend and my brother, how are you feeling since you moved?
Where, to the new house?
Yeah, like leaving the manor. What did that feel like for you?
Fantastic. I wish I was gone for good.
I'm happy for you.
My God, I still got to go back and finish bits and pieces, but other than that, yeah, I'm happy to be out of there.
Okay, I'm
I
happy
never
for
felt
you.
like I owned the house. The house owned me. I felt like I was
It's
like
true.
a custodian, honestly.
I know, but I know how much you loved it and how, you know what I mean? Like you cherished it and you took care of it. And I always felt like, wow, it's going to be hard for him when he leaves.
No.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
That means
I
it
don't
was the
even
right
have any-
time. And we're going to have a party.
I don't even have any pictures handy on the computer. I
No.
should have thought to get a bunch of pictures handy and just bring them up because we could have shared them with you now that we're not living there.
And it
Because
changed inside
when we were
too,
living there,
so.
people kept showing up at the door, and it was just really weird. Anyway,
Oh, it was just.
I kept showing up at the door.
I know.
It was loud.
I kept showing up.
Oh no, it's true. Bus tours and everything. We're looking outside. What the hell is that?
Wayne
a
makes
bus?
the best muffins and
Yeah, it was a
shortbread
bus. It
cookies.
was-
And
I
Yeah.
was sitting out on the veranda editing one day, and this bus pulls up, and I live in Niagara Falls. It's not uncommon to see a bus pull up and stop for a few minutes and get their
Yeah.
bearings or whatever, then take off. And the door opens up, and 30 or so people file out and stand
Oh
in front of the
my
house and start
Lord.
taking pictures. I'm like, what are you doing? Hello.
And
Oh,
where
you're
did you
on a
come
bus
from?
tour.
I
No,
know.
I'm not on a bus tour. You can take your bus and go. Like
They
I haven't
thought
been
it was a
informed of any bus
museum.
tour.
Wow.
Yeah, it
I don't
happens.
know what it was, but it
That's
was unnerving.
scary. That's really
People showing
scary.
up on the veranda.
Yeah, well, the house was on different shows, so I was sitting there another time. I think I was editing or writing or something, and a guy walks up, and which is I thought drop a flyer, say hello, whatever. And he's like, "Hi, good morning." I'm like, "Hey, how are you? Good." He just walks in my front door. I'm like, "Where you going? Hello." And he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna have a look around." I'm like, "No, it's my house. What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, this isn't a set. I saw it on television." No,
No.
oh, it's
You know
not a
what?
set.
They don't realize that those houses that you film in and you're the whatever, like the person commenting on the cases are people's homes.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah,
not
Just
sets.
message me,
Yeah, they
Alex.
don't realize that.
yeah. You can message me, Alex. I was just letting Amelia finish.
Mhm.
Just email me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
no, start
you
at
should
book
start with book
1.
one. Yeah.
Start at book 1. There was a reason why I started at book 4, and when you get there, I'll tell you when you're done.
No, you can tell him now. The other book wasn't finished yet. I had to rewrite it.
No, that's not what I was even
I would
thinking of.
not let you.
I
I would
would
not let you have the
storyline
first book.
away. I don't wanna give the storyline away. That's not what I wasn't even thinking about that. I still
See,
have the other one. I have
Melissa's
both.
been to the house, so she knows.
Yes, yes, Melissa, the house
Yes.
is a
In
beauty, not
fact,
surprised,
Melissa's
but
one
was
of the
there
pleasure.
early
last people
days.
who got to visit at the house.
So she saw the renos.
She
Yeah.
saw everything.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad I
Michelle, she was
didn't.
there in the early days, right? She came with the first
Early
investigation with the
days,
team, right?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was one of her and Audie were our 2 last guests in.
That's good because you guys got to experience it at the very, very beginning and at the very, very
Well,
end
Wayne especially.
of
So why
their
why don't we start at the beginning
yeah.
with the house when because you were bound and determined to have this house no matter what.
That was an
And
idiot.
but you knew it was haunted when you saw it. So why don't we start there? Basically, getting into the paranormal discussion, we'll
Sorry.
bounce around a little bit because we know we have a lot of people who want to, talk about, the books and stuff too. But as an owner of a haunted house, you get a different perspective from things, with people staying and coming for the house and the problems that it caused. Because I know when I came on board and started filming and bringing people in, the house changed a little bit. It seemed to like it some days, seemed to go quiet other days. So we'll start, with you beginning buying the house and so on and so forth.
I think it's important for people to realize too is the power of intention, and not just it's not cliche here, but like what you said, I did want the house. I saw the house. I went to look at another house. I didn't like it, and then this other house came up, and I was shown that house, which was the manor, and I wanted it. I wanted it like no tomorrow. And I basically put that house everywhere. Like I had it on my computer screen, on my phone. I had it on my calendars. Everywhere I went at work and at home, there was that picture of the house. And I never called it the house I'm going to get. I just referred to it as my house. And that was all.
Mhm.
So and within a year and a half, that house was actually mine. So it was pretty trippy. Yes, I knew
Yeah.
it was haunted. I picked up on an elderly woman who was at the house before I even went in. It was almost like she was outside. And if anybody has ever been into an old dusty attic in the summertime, there's that dusty smell of dried wood that I can only just call it attic smell. And that's
Mhm.
what I could smell every time this person would come around. And she was extremely sad, and I was very curious about her. But anyway, long story short, I did end up getting the house, and I walked through the front door just like it was my house, and I never was like, wow, I wasn't even amazed by it really.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There it
that's
is,
after I did the
guys.
paint job.
Tamara said maybe the house picked you, which we've said
Yeah,
that
it's got
all
its own
along.
line.
Quite
Yep.
possible.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. When I
Yeah.
bought that house, if you can imagine, like all the red trim that you see on that house
Sorry.
was white, and the bricks were actually painted blue, like a recycle bin blue.
Like
It was
Smurf
Oh,
blue.
good
terrible.
lord.
Yeah, it
Like
looked,
Facebook blue.
yeah, it
Oh
looked
my
Yeah.
like the
gosh,
Smurfs met
God.
the Addams family. It was brutal, just
Yeah,
brutal.
it
So all
was
that had to
bad.
go.
It was
So
bad.
that was the start of the horrible
It was
journey.
so not of the period.
Yeah,
It was so wrong in
yeah.
so many ways and disrespectful to the home, I think.
It was brutal.
Okay,
It
just
Yeah.
looked like
almost
something
caught
you'd
up
see
in
at
the
Disney, but it
picture.
wasn't cool.
That's terrible. Yeah.
Okay,
Even the
let's
Haunted
see.
Mansion of Disney is cooler looking than blue
Oh yeah,
and white.
it was all blue. It was blue and white and trimmed
Yeah,
in
that's
yellow.
too.
It was
Oh,
horrible.
good
That's horrible.
Lord. I couldn't imagine this beauty painted like that.
Oh, it was horrible.
That is
And,
really
like up
sad.
on the tower, there was they didn't have the right shingles, so they just did it in white aluminum siding. So instead of
I
having shingles on your roof was shingled with aluminum siding, like white siding.
love that house.
Tamara, no, that was a tricky part. We approached a few people about doing it, and we were stopped by the historical society, and for good reason. I've butted heads with them plenty of times, but this time they actually had grounds. The brick at that time period was so soft, and so was the mortar. If we'd sandblasted that, we would have just gouged it all out. Even water blasting wasn't a possibility.
No.
So what we did was we repaired everything that was painted, and the first coats of paint on that were actually tan. It wasn't whitewashed. So we repaired all that. We had a company come in, and they literally painted the whole house a dark gray, everything, and then they painted the bricks one at a time.
Yeah, they had to neutralize everything,
Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah.
everything was neutralized, and then
Yeah.
it was painted red brick. Then we went over it with dry brush black, dry brush orange, and then we clear coated it with a soot color to give it the aged look. That's what you see there today.
Gorgeous.
54,000 bricks, folks.
It's stunning in the winter as much as it is in the summer.
Oh,
It's
I just
so
got the
beautiful in the
album up.
winter. Did you find a winter
Okay.
photo?
Well, right now I found the house album, and this is from when we both lived there and when we were filming there. I'm going to see if I can bring it up. Hold on. I will show a few pictures. I don't think I could show them all. So 1 minute here. Oh, there's so many nice pictures.
Oh, it was so stunning
honestly.
inside too.
I think
Okay.
for like the first paranormal experience, like full on, I had was very subtle. Way back when a psychic person I was talking to told me that there's something in the house that's a treasure, but she said it could be a little boy's toy truck lost in the basement. It's a treasure to him, so it may not be a financial thing. And the first month I was there, I was painting. I was up on a ladder. I was 14 or 15 feet up, and I was just kind of painting and daydreaming about what was going on. And a voice came to me inside. I said to myself, I wonder what that treasure was. And literally in my right ear, a voice, like was sort of English Irish voice, said, "The house is the treasure." And it was so realistic.
Oh, I
And
love
actually
that.
turned to my right to see who had spoken to me,
Yeah,
and
I love
realized
that the
how high
house
up
is
I
the
was. And like
treasure.
that could not have any way
Oh,
been
I'll leave it like
anything
this.
but a spectral being.
This is
You-
just, some of the
That's a
pictures.
beautiful thing to say. The house is the treasure.
The house is the treasure.
I love that. I love that.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's hard to
head
see
down.
them. They're all just tiny little things on our screen.
Oh, are
Yeah.
they really?
Yeah, because
Oh,
you
they're
forget
small.
you have this big screen in front of you. The rest of us have laptops and
Yeah,
cell
it
phones.
is. It is really difficult, but I can't. Every time I try to open one, it's a little bit of a pain to get back. But let me
Yeah.
just try to select some of the pictures. Like this was part of our medieval room, and this, of course, is where.
I love that.
Oh, look, see here. Is this an arrow? No, it isn't. Oh, where is it? No, I thought we had an arrow. Okay.
iPhone here. So Tamara's got thumbnails, literally. On her
I know.
phone if she's
I
looking
know.
at-
Sorry,
Yeah, it's
guys.
hard.
Sorry,
It's hard.
guys.
It's okay. I can see it now. Like when you pull out one at a time. Oh man, I do miss the house.
Yeah, I mean,
I
there
do.
was a lot of
That
I
picture
haven't
right
been
there.
there in
Stop.
3 years. Like,
I was going to
well,
say
2
stop
years.
for a minute. For
Mhm.
people that are looking at that picture, what you don't realize is the original house, that's the end of the house where that fireplace is and those bookshelves are, that's the back of the house. And that was the kitchen.
Mm,
So that where the fireplace was actually where the old wood stove was. And when we gutted that room to protect it all, we found all the original piping, all the pulleys and chains in the basement that used to run the coal-fired furnace and everything. So then the kitchen moved to the back of the house.
mhm. Okay, so some of these, you see, I'm going to try to make my way to the staircase.
Make him away. Make him away.
Anyway, I know.
Do you have a photo with all the mirrors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
A photo with all the mirrors.
Mm.
Well, this was up in the tower.
Yeah,
That's
it's
that's
stunning.
the tea room in the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was angled. Blah blah blah.
There you go.
This is
Yeah.
the front staircase as we come in.
My God, I'm gonna cry.
There we go.
I'm gonna cry.
Oh,
I
crap.
know. All
I
those
miss
mirrors,
it.
though. I know. So, there's just a lot. It was
I'm choking up here. Oh my
there we
God.
go. This is from the upstairs angle
Yeah, it's
looking
looking down
down.
the stairs from the front bedroom.
Yeah. So, there's again, there's a lot of um
Oh, Melissa's asking what year was the house built in again? What was it?
1872.
1872.
mhm.
Yeah.
And then it was modified in 1887. And then when we were doing that room where the fireplace was,
Oh,
we
hi, Samantha.
pulled the ceiling down and a magazine came out of the ceiling, and it was from 1887, and it was a fashion magazine of all the upcoming fashions for 1888, which I loved because that was the year of Jack the Ripper in London, 1888. So I thought it was such a nice sort of thing to find within the house.
Yeah, especially you have that, and then Whitechapel Road, and everything just becomes
It just
synchronicity.
becomes more real. Yeah,
Yeah,
we found
absolutely.
newspapers and stuff in there.
That's
We
you
did
always
find
do,
things.
right? With those
Yeah.
old homes.
Yeah, we found
Yeah.
the servant
Service
stairs. What's really cool is that those servant stairs, or the second set of servant stairs that were in there, they put them in when bathrooms became a thing, and they put the original bathroom where the original servant stairs would have been. So they took those out, put a straight set of stairs up, and put a bathroom where those old stairs used to be. But that was all boxed in. I didn't know it was even there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we have a question. Amelia, can you get this
Knights, yes.
as we
Hello,
go along?
Knights. My aunt has a house that is haunted, but only when people who are not related to her. They never show up when it's just family. Do you have any idea why? Oh, I think
You ran into
he can
this
answer
too.
this. Yeah.
What is my aunt's house?
The hauntings only happen when people who are not related to her, people they don't know, come
To his
into the
aunt.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's when the
they can
experiences
just be very
happen.
protective of it. They look at it, their house, and I've run into that situation where, I find that when people just come in and they don't introduce themselves, the spirit family get a little put off as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. There were times, mind you, no matter where I worked or location I represented, Casa Loma was a big one. And in the manor, whenever we would have people come to film, we would always explain, even just to stay or investigate, we always explained to the spirits what was happening. And we would say, okay, this is what's going on. We're either filming or we have guests. They're coming to see you. Participate if you want. If you don't want to, that's okay too. It's really no big deal. And boy, there were times where they really showed off, and there are other times where they're completely quiet. Maybe it was just had to do with the people.
I
I
would
think
always
so,
be
because
telling people who come in, say, remember the time period you're coming into. It was very formal. You didn't just show up, walk in, and
Not a
wander
house like
around.
this.
You would introduce yourself, say, hi, my name is so and so. I'm here for this reason. Will you participate? Will you talk with me? And when you did that, I find the results were incredible. People would get amazing results.
oh, I'm
Talk
not
about
gonna
the
lie, I felt
tattoos.
comfortable there.
Sorry?
Guests with tattoos. Talk about when you had
Oh my
friends
goodness.
visiting
Yeah,
with
guess what
tattoos.
tattoos? I mean, the first time Michelle and her team were over, one of the mediums she had working with her said, the lady of the house wants to know what's on your arm. And I had a jacket on, and I'm thinking there's like dirt on my arm or something. I don't know what you're talking about. And he couldn't see either. And he said, well, she said it's like a plant. Well, I have a vine tattoo on my arm. So anyway, I said, oh, it's a tattoo. And he goes, oh, she thinks it's tribal, like it's native. I said, well, I
Oh
guess it has its
yeah,
origins in
It's
native, but a lot
Celtic.
of people
Yeah.
do it.
but it makes
Whenever I had
sense.
people come over that had tattoos on, they would always have like they'd feel this little touch on their arm, like they're just fascinated by the colors and the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
it's not something of that time. It's
It was not
bizarre,
common.
right?
Not common.
But with your tattoo, it would resonate because they were Scottish or Irish.
They were English Irish.
English Irish. I was
He
gonna.
was
I don't
British
want to
and
give her
he was
name
And
Irish.
away.
and you had the
Yeah.
Celtic cross
Yeah,
here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a good
I
picture
don't
of
want
it.
to give
Can't
her
say it, yeah,
name.
can't say it,
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
I felt very comfortable in the home. I felt very
See that?
welcomed.
That's me.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah. No, the house is very welcoming. I mean, some of the first experiences, even in investigating, I could, when playing back recordings, something was touching the recorder and playing with it. And many times I would just walk into the house and, the door in the dining room would just open, wide open. One time I'm looking at one of the caretakers doing work there. He looked at me and went, I'm just like,
Well, that's because that door was on a closer,
Yeah.
fire door, so it was always closed.
Yeah.
yeah.
That door would swing right open and stay open, and it first of all, it
We
should
just looked at
open
each
by
other.
itself, and it
That's
shouldn't
good.
stay open.
Right. Right. But it was all gentle experiences. Or, we would give voices. There's times I would just come home and I would hear, well, hello. And I'm like, Wayne. He's way at the back of the house. And he goes, you call me? No.
Yeah. That's funny.
I
Lots
think
of-
one of the trippiest ones with voices. We always said that we don't see a lot in the house, but the house will give up its voice over and over and over again, and it never fails.
Mhm.
And I remember I had a thievery happen there early days, and I had a bunch of tools ripped off, and they were clever about it too, but they really went to a lot of trouble to get those tools, and it was upsetting, but oh well. And a couple of 3 weeks later, I guess, I was getting ready for bed, and we have a smoke alarm system that's hardwired to the panel, and lights and all kinds of stuff that go off because it was a bed and breakfast for a while.
Mhm.
And I just got sort of into bed. My son was living with me at the time. He was up on the second floor, and the fire alarm goes off. I mean, full blown, like lights come on, and it's like, your heart
lots
stops.
of lights. You can
It's
see that
intense,
freaking
man. It
sucker from
lights up
space.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get up and I walk out, and he looks down from the second floor and he goes, "Is it serious?" I'm like, "I don't know yet. I've got to just check all the alarms. Just take a walk around the second floor, check all the rooms." So I walked the first floor and I went down to the basement, and nothing. I couldn't. The alarm shut off, and I'm like, "Okay, well, must have come in from outside. Maybe one of the windows are open. I don't really know." So I yell up to him. I'm like, "Okay, I think it's okay. I think we're good." So I get in the bedroom, close the door, boom, away it goes again. So I said to my son, I said, "Check the house. I'm going to walk around outside and just have a look," right? So he's walking through the house. I'm walking around the house, and I come in through the front door, and I hear him say, "Hey, Dad," just like that. And I said, "Yeah, did you find something?" And it didn't clue into me right away, and he didn't answer. So I'm walking through the house towards the kitchen, and I'm like, "What did you find? What did you find?" And he comes in from the back room, and he goes, "What do you want?" And I said, "Well, I'm answering you. You called me." He said, "I never called you. I'm just answering you. You called me." And I said, I never called you." And he goes, "Yeah, you said, 'Hey, Steven.'" And I'm just like, "I never call you Steven. I call you Steve." And then it twigged. He goes, I go to myself, he never, ever calls me Dad. He would always call, "Hey, yo."
Hey, yo.
Right? Even on my birthday card, it'd be the "Happy birthday, yo."
Yo.
Right? That's just him. It
Yeah.
became a
That's,
funny
it's
little
true.
thing. He still
Yeah.
does it.
Yeah.
And I realized at that point, the spirits were probably trying to get our attention back and forth to communicate. And he said to me, he goes, "Is this one of these really weird, paranormal, freaky things that's going on?" And I'm like, "I'm thinking maybe it is." He goes, "What do you think it is?" I'm like, "I'm more interested in what you think it is. Why don't you
Mhm.
tell me what you think it is? What's your first thought?" He goes, "I think that somebody may have been snooping around the house again to try to pick up new tools because you just got your tools replaced. And the spirit people are setting off the alarms to make you aware and to frighten away whoever is outside." And I'll tell you something, those alarms never went off that night again, and they never went off again, ever.
Mm-hmm.
So that was wild. That was impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Can
No.
I just address Chris for a second?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
make
you.
part of that,
Chris
make part of
Chris
that.
says tattoos have been around since Neolithic times. Not always popular, but taps are not new. True.
It's fair
But
not to.
this family was high society, Chris, and immigrants, and it just wouldn't have fit in to
Not to
that
realize that.
time. She
No,
wouldn't have known
they're very
what that was.
prominent in the city. They were
Yeah.
business owners. This house was built for her to entertain in. It goes
That's
to show
why,
you
yeah.
the money was there for her to have a home to entertain and have garden parties, and
It was just one
tattoos
of
were
the
not a
many.
part of their world for the most part. Unless you
No,
were
no,
strong arm.
not
know.
yeah, but that wasn't something that someone of that society would have known about or seen. May have heard of, but to
Mm,
see Wayne's would have been like, what is that? What's that
mm,
painting on your arm, you know? So,
right.
When my
yeah.
friend Don comes over, who's got arm sleeves and across his chest, and he's gigantic, and he big guy, and he's sitting on the couch, and he's like, "Oh," like, what touched me? I'm just like, "Oh, we like your artwork. Relax, it's all good."
It's so funny. Some of the
Mhm.
biggest people could be so yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it was pretty
so funny
funny.
because you're always afraid of what you can't see. But I think what we're failing to say we talk about the welcoming feeling there, but there truly is there was a life to that home and there was a lot of love in there as well,
Mhm.
especially if you were respectful.
I'm
Okay.
saying you probably could get a reaction because of the tattoos. She was also very interested in people from Ireland. Anybody that came from Ireland who had a Celtic cross or some kind of Celtic necklace or Celtic rings, she was always very close to those people. And I've got numerous feedback from people at breakfast time who I didn't know were Irish or had
Yeah.
any kind of Irish jewelry on them. And they said, "Oh my God, I felt this perfume, this rose perfume in the bathroom this morning. And it followed me all through the house." And that would be Margaret.
Yep. Rose or lemon.
And it was
Mhm.
Rose with her, 100%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So tell us about some of the other personal experiences that you shared. For the most part, they were pretty
Benign.
benevolent, right?
Oh yeah, they're pretty. Most of the time, they're pretty good.
But you
The
had some pretty scary moments as well,
I had funny, scary ones, and I had a really scary one. Like really, really, man, oh man,
right?
that opened my eyes. Um,
Yeah.
I
Which one
guess
do you
it's
want to start with?
um, probably the scary one because then we finish up on a lighter note.
Well, you
Uh,
guys will have seen this segment on Paranormal Survivor season 3. So go
Still
ahead.
playing.
Yeah. So go ahead,
yeah,
tell the
Have
story.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
you don't
Right.
recognize me because I don't have my bandana on,
Your black
right?
wig.
Black wig with a bandana on. I'm famous for my
Holding up the
bandana.
wig. I
Are we
know.
talking the reenactment actor?
Yeah, the reenactment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
the
I love
person
mine.
played me. Yeah,
I just love mine. Looks
Michelle
nothing like
runs
me,
around with
but
a little
okay.
with purple hair, and I have a
I got one
bandana.
little
So it's
red.
pretty
I got
cool.
one little purple strand. She was
It's pretty
Oh,
delightful.
exciting.
I call her
Everybody was
TV
pretty hard
Amelia.
on her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I call her
people were
TV
pretty
Amelia, and
hard
I'm
on
real
her.
Amelia. TV
Oh, that's
Amelia.
all right.
Real Amelia.
But
Yeah.
for that experience started really subtle, and for me, it didn't register. It just didn't register at all that there was anything wrong. It was going into November, and the house was cool, but that's normal, you know. And the only way I could describe it is for anybody out there who's got children who have either left for school or left the nest for good, the house feels really, really quiet. And that's what it felt like. And my son is working, and so he's not around a whole lot, and I'm working a split shift, so I'm not around a lot. So the house just felt really empty and really big and really quiet and really cool. And I thought, well, that's just the house in winter, I guess. That's how it is. So didn't put two and two together at all. So I'd gone to bed this one particular night, and I had rescued a cat named Sean, and I named him Sean because he was black and white and looked like Sean Connery. He had no voice.
Looked like Sean Connery.
He was
Yeah,
a bit of
little
a tuxedo.
right?
Yeah, he was cute. Yeah.
I called him Sean. So and he was just full of life, but he had no voice, and he'd just go,
Oh.
that's all. No
Yeah.
sound.
Oh.
So I woke up this one middle of the night, and it was funny because I used to watch these paranormal shows. They'd be like in a dark basement. They'd be like, yeah, it was no lights, and I saw this dark shadow in a dark room, and I'm like, I call false on that, because how can you see dark within dark? Well, I had that corrected pretty hard and fast that morning. So it was probably 3-ish, 3:30, somewhere in that range. And I woke up to an odd sound, and I didn't know what it was. And I'm laying there trying to figure out what it is, because I don't spook easy. I really don't. You can make me jump, but I don't spook easy. So I'm laying there trying to think what it is, and I realize it's my cat. and he's on the bed, and he's meowing and like hissing and screaming with no voice. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. How's a cat doing that? Right? He's freaked out. And I realized at that point I can't move. So my mind is like, oh, I've got.
So it's like sleep paralysis.
I got like, that's exactly what went through my mind.
Right.
I got sleep paralysis. The cat woke me up too sudden, and now my body's not responding.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, give it a second. It'll pass. It'll pass. It'll pass.
Yeah.
What is he looking at anyway? You know, so I looking. He's on my right side, and he's looking across my chest. So I kind of look over to what he's looking at, and sure enough, isn't there like this gigantic black shadow standing in the corner of my otherwise black room? And I'm just like, oh. Now the manor's got 10-foot ceilings on the first floor, and this thing filled that entire corner from bottom to top. So now I'm just like, wow, I've got to get up and deal with this. And I still couldn't move. And that's when I realized I also can't take a breath. So I am quickly running out of air and getting a little bit of a panic going. So I finally was able to sort of push through it, and using expletives I can't use here, cursed it off, and I was able to sit up and catch my breath. So I got out of bed and opened the bedroom door, and the cat's like, gone, you know, out the door and down the hallway to the kitchen. And I walked down to the kitchen and tried to calm him down. And he's like looking between my legs and looking behind me and trying to look around me. He's just baring his teeth and hissing, and he's like backs up. So I'm like, okay, so go in and try to deal with this. As you know, Michelle's always said, don't challenge it, but don't get pushed around. So I'm like, all right.
Finding that balance in that moment is scary.
You know, so here I go. So I go back in there, and the room is normal. It's cool, but it's like not from the movie. You don't see your breath. There's nothing like that. There's no weird smells. You know, so I walk in, I'm just sort of going like, this is my space. Whatever you are, you're not welcome. I didn't invite you. Get out, you know, and so forth. And I'm walking around, and so my bed has like a big canopy on it and a top that goes up almost to the roof, right? So I walk around the bed, and on the ceiling in the corners are crown molding. They're pretty substantial crown molding. As I walk around the corner of the bed, like something catches my eye. So I look up at the crown molding, and for a split second, it looked like one of those gigantic moths that you see sometimes in Niagara. I can't remember the name of them, but they're fairly big. And it was just like, it kind of did that, right? And I'm like, oh. So I looked up, and maybe that's what I saw. And as I focused on it, if you can picture the size of a grapefruit, you know, there were actually two of those, and they were like orange, and they had like the little black slits in them, and then they blinked really slowly at me, and I was like, oh, you know, and then the fear went through me, because now it's just like, I can see eyes that are looking back at me, and I am like wide awake. I am not sleepwalking. I am like wide awake. The cat's flipping, and I looked at that, and the shudder went through, and I was like, "Get out!" I just screamed at the top of my lungs, you know, and it was like, boop, gone, right? And that was that. And I grabbed the cat. I grabbed my phone, and I sat in the parlor, plopped him on my legs. He was shaking.
Oh yeah.
And, so I grabbed my phone, and Michelle's always said to me, she goes, "If you ever run into a problem at the house, I am on 24/7 for my clients. Just don't worry about waking me up. Just fire a text off. I'll get back to you." So I'm just like, you have to help me because shit's got real, you know, and
it's
nothing.
Funny now. I'm sure it wasn't
Nothing.
fun.
I'm just like, hello, need help. Bad things at the house. Nothing. Screw it. I'm going to call you. Hate to wake you up, but I'm calling you. Hi, you've reached Michelle.
Nothing came through.
Leave a detailed message, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Boop. So yeah, so that was me from probably 4 o'clock in the morning until about 7, and the sun was starting to come up, and then all of a sudden, like I get this text. She goes, "Oh my God! Like I've got like 9 texts from you and 4 phone calls. Are you okay?" Yes, we're okay.
But they all came in the morning.
Goes, I'm going to check in on you, and I'm going to grab my stuff, and I'm going to head over, which she did. And she showed up, and she had a walkthrough, and whatever it was gone. And but she made sure it wasn't coming back. But that was my first real like in my face nasty thing. Man, not fun. Yeah. I don't recommend it.
Oh, I'm grateful I've never experienced that, because I mean I've heard you tell this story, and it gets me every single time. It doesn't get less as you tell it over the years. It still affects me the same way, and I can still see it in you.
It's intense.
You know, it never happened again?
gives me the goosies. Nothing like that's ever happened to me like that. Nothing like
See
that.
how frustrating and
But
how
there have been
easily.
times where you've worked with me,
Mhm.
and there have been a couple of occasions where I brought you on, a walkabout to a client's place. Do you remember the one in Toronto? Everything that happened,
Yeah.
not when we filmed, but the people that we were helping.
Oh, I know the one you
And,
mean.
and I was having things going on. You were having things going on.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? The
Yeah,
knocks.
that was wild. It was
That's
it was
pretty wild.
it was a knocker. That's the
Yeah.
thing that, we went down to this place and checked it out, and she was losing her mind, and understandably so. There was a lot of history in that place, a lot. It was a newer place too, but we think
Mm.
the newer place was built on top of an older place that may have burned down, because we could always smell fire. But that one night after that first preliminary investigation, I was getting ready for bed, and out in the hallway, I could hear like the on the wall. And I was just kind of like, oh man, you're silly. So I text Michelle and I said, got a visitor. And she's like, who is it? I'm like, knock 3 times. And she's like, okay, I'll check it out. So next thing, it's behind the headboard. And I'm just like, oh boy, here we go.
I hate those.
So I
Yeah.
messaged her again. It's in the bedroom now, behind the headboard. I might want to speed it up a notch. So anyway, it was, she messaged me back and she goes, yeah, it was something there and it's gone now. I'm going to send some family members by. How does the place feel now? I'm like, fantastic. Amazing.
Mhm.
No problems at all. So,
Yeah.
But
But
also,
a lot of times they come to push their weight around too, right?
yeah, well, I just kind of laughed it off because I already had the big
Mm.
kahuna in there a couple of years earlier. It's got to do better than knock on the door. But one thing you got to
Knocking is
remember.
hard.
Sorry?
Knocking is scary
It
because
can be.
it falls into that whole paranormal stereotype on films, right? So
Well,
it already
especially when
gets
it's
you
the
there.
3.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
every exorcist, it's always 3 knocks.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
always said over and over. So that plays on you on top of
Mhm.
everything else. So I could only imagine.
I had it before we went. The same one.
And you had it
3
the same
knocks.
night I did too.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
was 3 knocks, and I was in my ensuite. I was getting ready, and I hear tuk, tuk, tuk. So I just came in because I'm a big believer in acknowledgement is empowerment. So I don't go there. I grabbed my purse off the bed and I said, I'll see you in an hour, mister. And I grabbed my purse and I just sauntered out into the car. It's not that you don't feel the anxiety of it. You just don't yield to it. It's
You don't
best
want
to
to show
not.
it. Yeah.
Well, no, because you give the edge like almost immediately. Here's one for you.
I
A comment.
heard those words today in my head. Acknowledgement is power.
Yeah, don't do it.
Nope. Knight says, when I was camping in the Appalachia, I heard a voice say, this is my home. You are not welcome. Leave, please. Said, please. Wow. I packed everything and never went back. That's
Yeah.
smart move, Knights.
That's a smart move. I would
Yeah.
say that's very respectful.
I'd say I'd pretty
Yeah,
much
they were
do the same
respectful.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very respectful. If
It's
you
very
would have
respectful.
stayed, who knows if
Mhm.
you would have made it back.
Do you remember
So,
that case
smart
that we
move.
went out to film at, Michelle? That one that was out in
Mm.
Welland,
Yep.
and we went out to do a short film there, and
Yep.
nobody sort of keyed us in that there was anything really malevolent there. But
Oh no,
was-
we were. It was. We were told it was very benevolent. It was very. There was nothing wrong there. We were just. There were issues, but not what we expected. I remember it.
yeah, that was wild. One fella came down with the symptoms of a heart attack while we were there, and fortunately there was a nurse
The
practitioner.
medium there was a nurse. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
thankfully.
nurse there that basically got that under control. But what
Good.
was really, really wild for me is not what happened there, because really, like when I was there,
Mm.
other than the guy having a heart attack, I didn't feel anything, like
Right.
absolutely nothing out of the ordinary.
Right.
And that particular time, I was working a night shift for the phone company, so I was covering a lot of ground at night, a lot of different offices doing repairs and things. And I came out of this one building, and our job when we seal a building off is to make sure the mag locks lock, and then we get the green light on them, and then we're good to go. So I would always close the doors, and then it was kind of like March time, so it was still a bit cold. And I walked to my truck, I got in the truck, I started it, and I looked out the windshield to make sure that I did actually have a green light on that door. And then I saw what looked like the size of a garbage can lid, like two of them, on the ground, like in shadow form, doing like figure eights, kind of circles on the ground. And I thought that was really peculiar looking thing, right? And I looked around and thought maybe there's a bag or something caught on one of the street lights blowing in the wind. And I got out of the truck and I looked up and around and there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing causing these shadows. It was really peculiar. And I was like, I don't really dig that a whole lot. But yeah, well, I'm in the truck. I'm heading out, see you around. So I took off and I got to the next job. And these are big empty buildings full of switches and mechanical stuff. And I would look through the racks of wiring and I could see somebody go by, which is not uncommon. So I just, hello, the usual, nothing. So I get up and I walk down to the card reader to see who has come in the building, because we have cleaning staff, all kinds of stuff. And it only showed me in the building. So I'm like, okay, so then it's just, I'm tired. And it just, the lighting seemed dimmer than normal. The room seemed colder than normal. I was irritated. Every time I drop my pliers or something, I'm just like, God, I'm just so stupid. What the hell's wrong with me tonight? Get my stuff and get all my gear, go to the next place. And it's starting to rain. And like even the cityscape looked dark. It was dark and miserable and crappy out, and I got to my next place and I start to do a few basic repairs. And I dropped my tool from the top of the ladder. And I got down the ladder, I picked it up, I whipped it across the room, which is something I never do. That's something I'm not like. And I was like, that's not cool. That's not me. So I messaged Michelle and I basically, hey, are you still up? And she's like, yeah, what's up? And I said, how are you feeling? And she's like, ornery as usual. And then she
That's
wrote
a
back,
common
actually, I'm a
response.
little more ornery than usual. And I said, yeah,
That's
that's not that
Michelle.
you say that, because so am I. Like, I'm really irritated. Like, I'm just out of sorts right now. And then I told her about the two shadow frisbees moving around in the parking lot.
Mm.
And I said, I'm just getting a funny feeling that something may have like tagged along. Do you want to just have a look around and maybe check on everybody else? And she did. And everybody else was having exactly the same experiences. I mean, some worse than me. Like people are fighting with each other and people are on the verge of divorce. It was crazy.
Oh, wow.
So that was one house with one naughty spirit being, let's call it that, that tagged on to, like, I want to say 6 or more of us, all going in different directions, causing havoc.
No, for sure. And it happens a lot. Here's a question I would also like to address. Amelia, you want to get it?
Yeah, definitely. And Adrian, hi, Adrian, asks, she says, first, entities must be able to listen to plans one makes, but can they read your mind?
I can tell you this. Yes, they on both counts. They're always one step ahead of you for the most part. And when I usually, if possible, whenever I would meet with families, I would always ask them to be off-site when they make initial contact with me. And I'll tell you, I worked with a family one time, and the sister got a hold of me. She lived in a neighboring town, and the husband was aware of everything going on. It was his wife who was affected, and the gist of it was she was playing with a pendulum. She had a family member who just passed. She wanted to communicate, and she got more than she bargained for. So when I went in, all of the contact and communication with me was done off-site and away from her. So the day I walked in, and I arranged it that the husband asked me, basically formally invited me in. See, I'm kind of like a vampire thing, I guess, right? But anyway, formally invited me in. And as I came in, she was eating like cereal, but she wasn't. She was staring at a wall. She's just going like this with the food, and the milk and everything is flying all over the place. And then all of a sudden, I came in very quietly through the garage door. So all of a sudden she stopped. So I approached, I came up behind her, and she dropped everything, spun around so fast, and looked at me. She goes, "Why are you here?" Just like that. And I smiled, and I may have been a little sarcastic and said something like, I came to play, which I shouldn't have, but I did. And she looked at me and went, ah, like this. And I was like, ooh, I think that might have hit a bit of a nerve.
Now what?
I know. 4 hours. 4 hours. I
Oh
was
my
there.
God.
And she wouldn't let me leave. She had her hand on me and she chain smoked, but she would only smoke like a fraction of a cigarette. Drop it, start, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. There were so many things that were involved with this. But unfortunately, they are fully aware. And we lucked out that time because if it's the person that has the attachment, it doesn't really make a difference. They know what's going on within the home. But if the being, because we're not always dealing with things that are non-human. If there's a malevolent spirit in the home and he's in the home, then you can get away with doing a lot of things that, you couldn't with an entity, so to speak. So that was interesting.
Scary.
Okay. Yeah.
Chris says, of course, spirits, good or bad, could read your mind. They are not bound by time or space because they are outside of physical reality.
Agreed.
And Knights Knight says, when my dad was passing, a shadow man would show up in my bedroom. And when my grandmother was passing, there was a shadow person with a top hat in her hallway.
Interesting.
That is very interesting. I read that twice because he kind of spooked me.
The manor had a lot of shadows too, didn't it, Wayne?
Yeah, a fair bit. A fair number of shadow beings moving around the place.
But even a white shadow. Tell us about that, because I've never really experienced many of those personally.
Had orbs and rods, all kinds of different things. I think the one that sticks out in my mind is, again, with my son, who was with me. And we were just sitting in the parlor chatting one night. And it was late. It was probably 1:30, maybe 2 in the morning. And we were just jamming about stuff. I think we were talking about the books and how I was going to end one of them. And I had this, like, behind me, there's this big colossal mirror that went across the wall behind the couch. And I could see him sort of, when someone's looking at you and then they kind of look off. What was it, a bird? Would you see a mouse? It's like, and he looked off at the mirror for a second and he kind of pulled his head back a bit. And then I watched him kind of do one of those to see what was causing the reflection in the mirror. And later on, he told me he didn't see anything, but he brought his attention back to the mirror and he just did that whole, that startled me so much, as him like doing the big inhale scream kind of thing. And he bolted. And this guy was like 23 at the time. It's not like he's an 8-year-old. And he split and went into the dining room. I'm like, what did you see? Like, what was going on? He's like, listen, he said, when you were talking, he said, a woman, the mirror kind of went like water for a split second, like it rippled. And he goes, then there was a woman standing there, but she should have been over there by the fireplace if the reflections coincided. When I looked over, I didn't see her. And he goes, she had one of those like a little round kind of hat, like a flat black hat with the mesh that came over your face. Like funeral kind of deal.
Yeah, and, the funeral hat.
Funeral hat, yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes, when I looked back at her, I could actually see the whites of her eyes and she blinked. And he goes, that's when I flipped, because I realized it's not just a vision that I'm seeing in my head. It's actually happening.
It's conscious, yeah.
Yeah, and then
it sounds like a portal.
The Ripley thing happened as he was running out of the room. And that was that. So that was something else altogether different. I mean, the previous owner had a cleaning lady come in, and she said she would go up the stairs and there would be like a woman coming around the corner in a long black dress.
I saw that woman.
It was gone. Sorry?
I saw that woman in your house.
So did Melissa, I think. She saw the woman coming down the stairs with a big black funeral hat coming down the stairs.
This was up in the main red bedroom, because I was showing a film crew around and I caught her walking in that room, walking from one side to the other. So from the left corner, and she walked towards, let's say, the bathroom. and I could see this gown just flowing. I was like,
Yeah.
it was like daytime. And I'm like, what? I'm
Yeah,
pretty
it's
sure
a
I
little
just saw
too
that.
clear. Yeah,
Oh, it was really
a
clear. It
little
was
too
just,
clear.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really amazing.
Many
You know,
people said they saw a little girl in the back bedroom, which is interesting because back then that would have been the servants' quarters, that bedroom.
ah,
Hmm.
right.
Lots of people report little girl, and people get their hand, like she'll take hold of your
Touch.
hand and kind of try to lead you around the house to give you a
Right
little.
off, right off the edge of the back
No, no,
window.
no, not that kind of spirit.
I'm
No,
kidding.
very,
I'm
very
kidding.
gentle,
Yeah.
Yes,
very gentle.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But then there
Yeah.
was a spirit person I called Weezer. I didn't know his name, and I couldn't find any history on him, but you could hear him. He'd be like,
Oh, God. So
he was
glad.
always
I'm
up
so
on the
glad I came
second
years
floor, middle
later.
bedroom, or by the tower in the tea room.
Mhm.
And Michelle actually caught him on an EVP.
EVP.
Yeah, and
Oh,
Oh, wow.
crystal clear, and you could hear him touching it. And then she says, like, do you need help, or something to that effect? And you
yeah.
hear him go, it's so cold.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And I found him on the by Alex. I found him on the first floor just one time, and he was in the bedroom. He started wheezing, and I didn't know what to say. So I was like, Weezer, what are you doing downstairs? Is everything all right?
Wayne has a way of labeling everybody with their
Oh,
own little
nobody
name.
knew. I know.
Yeah,
He didn't know
you
his
pick them
name.
perfectly.
Yeah. Well, what do you call a person like that?
Alex said earlier, he said, what's attached to him? My automatic natural response was going to be a burrito, but he's going to bed. So good night.
Yeah, leave your shenanigans out of it, poor guy.
Yeah.
Here's a question.
Yes. Adrian asks, what about spirits that attack only women? For
Mhm.
example, would you preferably send a dominant male to deal with this
No,
spirit?
not me. Not me. Never have. I've tackled them all by myself, and I've run into a few at different with different families I've worked with, where women were sexually assaulted, where they were pushed, and I'm highly aggressive, so I go in and I'm always very happy to deal with these spirits and pop them out.
Yeah.
Pop
I
them.
would send Michelle.
Michelle, do you remember that one? I'm
I
going to be
would.
really vague on this because I can't really remember it myself. You did a case where you got called into the place because they were having all kinds of really nasty things happening to the kids and the animals and
Mm.
stuff, and it turned out to be the grandmother.
Oh,
It was actually a demon that ratted her out.
it's true.
Wow.
How bad are you when you have a non-human entity that just says, "Hey," oh yeah, and how we knew this was because this thing was around, and I'm like, and it kept trying to get me to go upstairs. So I said, "Okay, okay." So I said, "What do you want me to see?" And I followed this thing, and all of a sudden it opened this door. This door opened wide open, and the homeowner's going, um, "That was my mother's room, and she passed away in it." I'm going, ah. So she was ornery, and we popped her out. But she truly believed she should outlive her children, and she just hated her. I mean, her
Didn't that
husband,
one
her
make,
kids.
sorry, one of the shows?
No, never. No, that one was one that they saw me on TV.
Mhm.
This going back, this really early days, and they said I came in the very first email I got, and I think it was like breakfast television. It was this
Oh,
wasn't a
way, way
big show.
back.
Oh, way back, yeah.
Because I
And
saw a story like that. Sorry to interrupt you. Yes.
oh yeah, no, it was covered actually on a program, but none of the
Mhm.
ones that you know now. And the family participated in it, and
Really?
it was really extraordinary. Like they really, really went leaps and bounds, and it shows you how a family or individuals can take control of their space, and once mom was gone, even Buddy settled down. So it's like everything.
See
Oh, I was
that?
like,
It's
that's a human spirit.
that's a story that sticks with you because I remember seeing it on television, but I wasn't sure if you were a part of it or not. I'm
Yeah,
just, as you're
yeah,
saying it, like I'm
yeah.
seeing it in front of me.
Oh, it
That
was.
was one of the scariest stories I have ever heard, because
Oh,
that's
I'll
not
tell you the
something
whole
normal.
story sometime. I'm not at liberty to give the whole story now.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was great because there was even a psychologist who was part of this documentary. It was
Wow.
really well done, and he basically just said, "Yeah, I believe that there's a need for everything." And even when I deal with families or really hardcore cases, um, I will usually ask, especially if it's a family with, of the Catholic faith, because they require so much, and I will require, psychological, psychiatric assessments, and I require permission from their doctors to work with them. And I always get the permission as long as I do not encourage or allow families or the individual to go off the medication. It's when the medication doesn't work that you have to sort of explore, other avenues. And it's really great. They're really fantastic. On average, they're recognizing it a lot more. And no, Tamara, it wasn't on Haunted Canada or Creepy Canada. It was a documentary. And here's something for researchers out there who get approached by film students. I have worked with film students a lot, and where they'll ask and say, "Can we film with you? Can we interview you? Can we follow you along?" I used to allow them to follow me on ghost tours, not investigations, because I could never. I've always only worked malevolent cases or with families in that situation, and I could never guarantee someone. Well, I could never guarantee. I'm gonna leave it there. Someone's safety. So, my team was always very used to how we did things, and it would be fine. But years down the road, I think I have worked with at least 4 of those students who went on professionally to become producers or editors and writers. And I've worked with them on a whole different level. So always encourage young people who come to you and want to work with you, film students, because you never know how it's going to come around full circle. So we're just going to come in here now to handle some more.
Stevie, no wonder. How funny. How hard is it to discern some type of trickster entity pretending to be a past person to mess with someone or family?
Want to get that, Wayne, and then we can chime in?
No, I'll leave that up to
Q&A,
you.
man, Q&A.
No, I know it's a Q&A, but
What are
can
your
handle
thoughts?
it. Any idea?
You've lived with me long enough. You should be able to answer this.
Oh my God, are you kidding me, man?
Okay,
No,
Bubbles.
yes, I'm not tricksters and stuff. There's all kinds of those out there. Could
Yes.
be anything. They mask themselves. I mean, the one case that you had where you got called in and she goes, the old lady was like, my husband passed and I'm trying to reach out to him and he's calling me all these nasty names. And you were like, well, did your husband like you?
Oh my God, we just talked about this. That's funny.
It was a vile recording.
There's a million out there that could trick you and fool you into anything you want to believe. If you want to believe in something hard enough, there's something there happy to give it to you.
And that's why we always say don't engage. That's why we always say that. It's that easy. They know everything about you. They know everything about your family. Do not engage.
True. Okay, we're going to make our way down the
and
list
you would
here.
never feel frightened. That's another way of discerning. If you're uncomfortable or hesitant or frightened, that's another way of knowing that this is your loved ones would never, ever treat you poorly or frighten you.
I don't know. I was terrified of my mother. If she came back, I would
They're nicer on the other side, though. When they've ascended, they come back nicer. Yeah, that kind of, I find with spirits that have passed, when they come back, like the nastiness from Earth. I'm not saying your mom was nasty. I'm saying like if they come back with sarcasm or they were sarcastic. No, I'm not going to engage with that. But if they were sarcastic or something, they may do that just to prove that it's them. It's not necessarily who they are once they've ascended, because that baggage is all left behind. But they may use it to help, prove that it's them through the medium.
Eat your Brussels sprouts. I'll clip you. That would be all I do.
Okay, hold on.
No Marmite and toast.
Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to catch. Yeah, I am making my way. No problem.
Yeah, we have quite a few.
Yeah, I'm making my way. So I have to go in order. We have 7 chats, and 3 of them are YouTubes, and 4 of them are Facebook. So
yeah.
Okay, hold on. Now, the next one was, uh, okay, yeah, I guess we can do this one. Okay, this is a question.
Okay, Knights asks, can
Yeah.
mirrors allow you to travel to other realms? Or can only spirits use them? I've been told that you can. Just wondering.
Well, I don't know. I believe anything in energy form can do many things. I believe when we are in sleep state, we can do many things. You can do astral projection, out of body experiences. I don't know that you need mirrors for that. However, there is a theory that if you do face two mirrors together, they can create portals, which would allow for other energy beings or dimensional beings to come through.
Not
So
recommended.
we've seen,
You
yeah,
did that by
don't do
Not
accident.
this at home,
recommended.
folks.
Say so.
Yeah,
Don't call us. We just gave you the warning. Do not try
yeah,
this at home.
yeah, exactly. Sorry, what?
Yeah.
No, I
Wayne?
said you did that on my say so by accident at one of the houses that we were doing some work on, and you said, "Well, I don't want to put the mirror up there," and I'm like, "I think it'll be fine for 5 minutes. Don't worry about it." And put it up, and then went downstairs. We could hear walking all around on the
It's true.
floor of the other house. Like,
Oops.
okay,
Yeah,
don't
it's
listen
true.
to me. Don't take the mirror down.
Yeah.
I
Put a
know,
sheet
it's
in
true.
between them if you have to pile them. And you don't want it to face an outside window either. And I'm pretty sure that's part of
Anything
feng
with
shui as
reflection.
well. But even
Yeah.
feng shui, I believe, no doorways, no how people
Mhm.
like to put mirrors in front of their doors. So when you walk in, the mirror's there. No, no,
Yeah.
no.
No, exactly.
It's a
Okay, here's
bridge.
another
I
one.
see it as a bridge. Angie, hi Angie, welcome. My aunt had a carpenter in to do work over 7 years ago. She asked me to hide a bunch of keys. During all of this, my aunt broke her femur and my mom passed away.
Oh,
I'm so
sorry.
sorry. I still can't find the keys. Oh,
That's
yeah,
crazy. Yeah, you almost have to, yeah,
I
ask for
think you have
sure.
to kind of like sit down, let it go for a minute and let it come to you. I feel like the anxiety is overreaching and blocking what you're not seeing, if that makes any
Okay.
sense. I don't usually throw that kind of stuff out on air, but
No, it's okay. That's good. Help her out.
I hope so. Um, Tamara, our third host. Wayne, was your first experience of paranormal start with the manor?
Ghostly speaking, I would say yes. I didn't really have a whole lot of that going on in my life. I had a what they call a near death experience, but for me it was a death experience, and it sort of all the paranormal stuff started after that. And that would have been I would have been between 28 and 30 years old at that point in time. Got to do the big ride in the manic sail ship across the dark water towards the light, and it was pretty spooky. But after that, that's when all that stuff started. I had a really weird experience when I was like 4 years old. I was at my birthday party, and my parents were staunch, hardcore English. My dad was in the Navy, and my mom was in the Army. It was hard. Can I tell you what my upbringing was like? Holy man! But so they decided to have a party for me, and I was like blown away. I remember being with a bunch of kids in the living room, and we're all getting cake, and there's party going on and stuff. And I can remember stopping dead in amongst all these kids and like literally like looking down at my hands and looking down at my body. And in my mind, I'm like, my God, I'm a child. I'm a child. And I passed out. I
He
woke
came
up, I was
back.
covered in puke. My parents took everybody home. And that was that. I don't know if that was
Oh,
normal or not, but it was
Oh,
terrible.
that's an Ant-Man moment from Marvel's the last the Avengers last show Endgame. He
I
comes
don't know,
back
man.
and
I
he's
was, I
like,
was, I was a
"What?
little kid. Never got over that.
Wow.
all right. It's we
Too
have to
cool."
take our break. So
Yes.
sponsor D, and then we're gonna have to play a couple of promos.
Okay.
Yeah.
You I'm like half asleep today. You miss a week and you lose it.
I know. I
You are
know.
listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans or New Orleans. I got to learn how to pronounce that
New
properly.
Orleans.
Yeah. We are currently on 105.3 and 107.7 FM, as well as streaming live and archived on Roku. So if you're new and you're watching us on Roku, please share us with your friends. And thank you for being here tonight. Please try to hook up on Facebook, join us in chat. So there's still a little bit time left in the show, and you can participate with our Q&A. And our special guest tonight, our dear friend and author of the Vampyre Tales series, Wayne Mallows, is here tonight answering questions and sharing stories. If you are just tuning in, don't worry. You can stream our archives on any platform that you normally use. But then again, don't forget to share us with your friends. We send Tamara after you. Just saying. Just kidding. Saying. Kidding. Yeah. I need coffee. Speaking of coffee, a huge thank you to the amazing people at Folgers Coffee for sponsoring our show and continuing to sponsor our show. We absolutely love you and appreciate you. A huge thank you for our intro and outro and lending his voice, Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon. Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp, and check him out on Facebook and Instagram, where he's dropping clips of that music all the time. Now, if you are watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, you see that little subscribe and like? Please click those, and again, share them with your friends. And as Tamara says, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
Okay, kids, it's promo time. Here we go.
Hey there. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The News on the Flip Side, in the category of politics and news. News on the Flip Side is a much different news and political program which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as Joe Montaldo brings to you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate News on the Flip Side in the category of politics and news. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and do it now.
It's time for you to get out.
And more.
It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast. In 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. For 4 years, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast has provided advice and tips from international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest judges and winners, and industry professionals based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard to help the aspiring writer and artist no matter their age. It is dedicated to the future of storytelling and art by showing that it is never too late to start, and those who make it are those who never give up. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in any or all of the 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and go out and vote now.
Okay, we're back. So, where were we? Wayne?
Yeah. I was sitting here.
Okay. So the house, when you started renovating, I mean, well, it was a 12-year endeavor, but at some point, I know this because I was there, and I think I experienced a little bit of that. The house or the spirits, because, I mean, most of the spirits long gone, and, you know, anyone left behind was pretty much already ascended. They were just there because they loved to be there. Did you start noticing that they were aware that maybe you were preparing to leave and right?
Yeah. It's, I'd explained to Margaret, the original owner of the house, or the house was built for, that my time here was done and I had to move on. And I explained why and all the reasons. And I said, I really hope that, that you are happy with the way I'm leaving the house, and that you are pleased with the work that was done. I'd like to think that I left that in a good space where it's going to last another 100 years, because boy, it was rough when I got it. And, I know that they were sad. I mean, there was a lot of times where I would tell Michelle, like, you got to talk to these people. I can't work here forever. Because, I mean, shit was happening, like stupid stuff, like pipes would start leaking that have never leaked before. Like hydro would go off, electrical would stop working, and it would just be ridiculous. Like, this stuff was fixed 10 years ago. It should not be acting up now. I take it all apart. There's nothing wrong with it. Put it back together, work fine. Just wasting time. So yeah, I think they were sad to see me go, but at the same time, like, I can't go on forever. I painted the house last summer and literally took 2 months to paint it, all the outside trim and stuff. I needed one of those telescopic man lift trucks to drive around the house and up and down 3 stories. It was evil, just evil.
Yeah.
The last 10 years, I'll be 70 years old the next time it needs doing, and I am not doing it, right?
Understood.
Tamara, to your question, no, because I would explain to them, like, to ridiculous lengths. I swear, I would call a family meeting in the dining room and I would say, can I talk to all these different people? Can you come to the dining room? I want to explain to you what I'm doing in the next 3 weeks. I'm not destroying your house. I'm pulling the whole dining room ceiling down. I've got to repair this. I've got to repair that. So if you see me taking a hammer to your ceiling, please don't panic. I'm going to put it back. I just need to make it better than what it is right now.
Well, they're highly intelligent people.
Never had a problem with them interfering with my tools going missing or
No.
getting pushed or shoved or anything like that.
And that was based on a question that says, when you renovated, did the activity ramp up?
That's right.
Right. Okay.
While we're on that topic, though, they were very instrumental in helping as well. I'd often ask questions. Michelle was there with a pendulum one time, and I said, I need to know some things about this house. Can you help me? And she got her pendulum out, and we found where doorways should have been, where kitchen doors should have been, where walls were put up where they shouldn't have been. It was quite incredible. When we started digging into the house, sure enough, that was exactly the case. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it did have a voice in many different ways. Here's a comment, Bubbles.
Nice. Says a story. I was born with a heart condition and I've been close to death throughout my whole life. I was told that I have one foot in this world and the other in another world. That makes a lot of sense for me. Well, I hope everything gets better for you, Knights.
Yeah, me too. I've always been told I've walked both sides.
Yeah.
I'm pretty healthy. So
you're probably gifted.
When my
He's
mother
probably
was
gifted.
close to passing, it went on for quite a bit. And in hindsight, I mean, it sounds morbid, but I kind of wish I could have videoed it or at least recorded some of it, because some of the stuff that she said was absolutely incredible. And she would have no way of knowing any of this stuff. It was just wild. She was, very, I won't put her down by saying she was simple, but she certainly didn't get involved into this kind of stuff that we're into talking about tonight. And one night I came in to see her in the hospital, and she was quite comfortable. She saw me come in and she said hi. And I went to walk around the bed to see her, and she goes, "Oh, don't go that way." She goes, "There's a watcher standing in the corner, and I just don't want you getting near him. Just come around this side and sit on this side." I'm like, a watcher? Are you kidding me right now? My 93-year-old mother is talking about a watcher in the bedroom. Are you kidding me right now?
It's amazing what they can see.
Yeah, so definitely one foot on one side and one foot on the other.
Your mother was like seeing all kinds of things. When you have somebody who's like close to passing, or who, they may not even realize it, but when they start listening to some of the things that they're saying, they're going to tell you, they're having paranormal experiences. They are communicating. They are seeing things. I laugh at some of the stories that you would talk about, because she thought she was waiting on a train platform with her baggage and couldn't leave. Like, the night you saw her, she should have passed. She passed.
Oh, I'm sure she did. Without a doubt, I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
I got a call from the hospital, and they said, it's close, can you get here? So I left work and I got up to Bracebridge, 2 hours away. I got there about 3 a.m. and I went in and she was there, and I just sat down, and she kind of looked at me, and she was gray and very old looking and very sad looking. And I said, "You all right?" And she said, "I'm fine. I'm just cold. I'm tired." And I said, "Okay." So she held my hand. I sat there for a while, and then she just did that whole,
Mm-hmm.
that was it. So I'm there, hold her hand went limp, and I'm like, okay, that's it. I guess that'll be the end of that story. And then I'm kind of getting comfortable with the whole idea. And then she goes, and Wayne goes, "Ah!" So my mom survived. I almost dropped dead on the floor.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that at all.
Takes a while for that last breath.
But when she came out of that whole thing, completely different person, night and day, like nice, wanted to share her things with people, was interested in what you had to say, and was complimentary to everybody. And I'm just like,
hated sharing.
Yeah, well, that other side kind of woke her up,
well,
literally.
I think
Oh, it
honestly,
got
Amelia,
better.
what happened was I think
Yeah.
she got over there, and the
Yeah.
guy went, right, what's all that stuff behind you? And she went, oh, that's all this baggage I got to bring. And they went, no. You stay here until you get rid of the baggage, or you're going to be stuck with it forever. Fix it. Yeah. So she did. And man, did she ever become a really different person. But from that point on, she was on about the train station like there's nobody's business. They're very polite here, but boy, I would never use this carrier again. Boy, I've been here for hours. They just won't listen to me. They won't take my stuff. I don't know where we're going. I've been stuck here for hours. Crazy.
I can't bring my bags. I can't bring
It's amazing how they understand things. It's incredible. You have to pay attention.
Yeah, she started to experience with a cat.
Oh my God, yeah.
What happened?
Well, there's two stories with the cat. The first of all was I came in and she was talking to me, and all of a sudden she goes, excuse me for a minute, Wayne. And she looks the other way to cross the bed and she goes, yes, dear, that's a lovely cat. But it's not my cat. My cat has a much longer tail than that cat, but it's beautiful. I'm glad you brought it to show it to me. She's quite lovely. Okay, dear. Okay, you go on then. Yes, Wayne, carry on. Sorry. I'm just like, what? Who are you talking to? You know, it was pretty wild. And then my mom did have a cat. It was named Smokey. And the night that Smokey passed, I didn't know about it. Smokey was staying with a friend of my mom's. And Smokey was elderly. And so my mom was in bed and she couldn't read or anything. She was semi-blind. But she said, later, she goes, she woke up to a woman's voice. And she said, the voice said, hi, Mom. It's me, Smokey. She goes, I wanted to let you know I passed this morning, but I'm okay. Oh. I'm on the other side and I don't want you to worry about me. Everything is fine. Oh. So then the woman who had the cat phoned my sister, who was closest to the home she was in, told her the news. And my sister was like, well, I better go over there and let her know because I don't want her hearing about it from someone else. So my sister walks in and my mom's like, oh, hi, Christine. How are you? She's, I'm fine. How are you? She goes, oh, I'm a bit off this morning. I'm not feeling the best. And she goes, why is that? She goes, Smokey came to visit me in the middle of the night, told me she died and she's moved to the other side and she was okay. My sister was like, you know, and she goes to the nurse's station. She goes, right. So who was in here this morning to speak to my mother about the dead cat? And they looked on the book. She said, well, you're the only person that's come in the last 2 days. So no one.
Wow.
I think it's fantastic, though. Brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
I love it.
Brilliant.
Me too.
Okay,
well, my dad was going through his stuff, too. It was very different. Sorry, this is a really quick one. Like, he was obsessed with time. So obsessed with time. He was just on the verge of dementia. And he would wake up and he'd look at me and he'd be like, what time is it? And I said, it's 7:30. And he goes, what day is it? I said, it's Thursday. And he goes, okay, I haven't missed it yet. I'm still on time. I haven't missed it yet. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And every time you wake up, what time is it? What day is it? And I think he was so tired of this existence that he was probably on the other side while he slept saying, get me out of here. Like, bring me home, take me home. My body hurts. I'm done. I'm tired. And they were like, we can't bring you home, but we can tell you you're coming on Tuesday at 2:00. Something to that effect.
Yeah, I understood
what it was, because he was obsessed about it. Because he would be like, is it Tuesday? No. Is it 2:00? No, it's not. It's Thursday, 7:30. You're fine. It's okay. That's the sort of stuff that he went through. And then he passed on Wednesday morning.
That is incredible. I've never heard anything like that.
Yeah,
that is incredible.
What I want to do before we tackle another question, because we've talked about this with guests on our show, and usually you're trying to put the story in chat because I say, wait, put the story in chat.
It's 3 pages long and you run out of words.
I know. So it's like, damn it. So tell everybody about the out-of-body experience you had, or the experience when you died. Your
Right.
near-death
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
experience, because you try to put it in there, you're trying to explain it, and I'm like, and you run out of words
128
on
characters
YouTube.
isn't going to cut it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's just do it. Let's put it out there.
All right.
It's
Yeah.
fascinating to me.
I was really sick. I was working. I worked outside line crew. It was hard job, hard weather.
For the phone
And
company, just for those. Yeah.
that year there was a big meningitis scare. Like they were just like overrun with meningitis problems and stuff like that. So it was flashing everywhere. Like if you got a fever and you got this and you got that and you got the other, like just go to the hospital. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go directly to the hospital.
Don't show up to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
especially.
I was not feeling well. I went to the walk-in clinic. I said, like, can you just check me out? Because I want to be sure I'm okay. And they were like, you have every symptom but one. Like, just go home, rest. If your fever spikes, go to the hospital. Don't go to a clinic. I'm like, okay. Went home, went to bed, got up a few hours later. Fever's out of sight. Get to the hospital, line up, usual. So I get in. I said, this is what I got. I'm concerned. They were like, yeah, have a seat. Be a while. I'm like, yeah, I know. Life is like that. So I'm a very patient individual, but it literally felt like I had an axe in my forehead. Like somebody was like just driving a wedge into my head. I was like, never had a headache like that in my life. And I'd been working a lot, and I was under the weather big time. So time goes by, I get up and I walk to the nursing station. And I said, hey, I'm sorry to be a nuisance, but like I am dying. Like I'm literally dying. How long will it be? And she goes, oh, maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I turned around to walk away, and the whole world just did that. And I was like trying to keep up with it, right? And that was it. I don't remember anything else. I don't remember hitting the floor. I don't remember if somebody caught me. No clue, no idea. And next thing I know, I'm in what I call like an old sailing vessel, like a Spanish galleon, like it's got the big high point at the bow and the big high point at the stern, and the captain would steer it from the back, and 3 masts and sails and everything. So, but it's dark, it's black, and the seas are rough, and but the boat didn't do any of this. It was just dead state in the water, going along.
Strange, right?
Yeah, didn't pitch or roll, nothing, dead calm. But the water coming over the sides and just waves, and I look around and I'm like in the lower part of the boat, but I'm still outside. And we're all wearing like black raincoats and a little black rain hat. And I look around, there's a whole bunch of other people just like me, all wearing raincoats and hats. And I'm like, oh man, wow, different. And so I look to the front of the boat, and there's this lighthouse way off in the distance up on a cliff. And you see the beam of light. They usually sweep back and forth. This beam of light came right across the ship, right through the sails, over the masts. And I'm kind of like, where's it going? And I look back, and there's the guy steering the ship is in a black shroud, right? And he's got his hands on the wheel, and that light goes boop, right into his face in that shroud. But you couldn't see his face. It was just like a white ball of light in his face. And I remember looking at that, looking back at the lighthouse and going, oh shit. This is bad. This is really bad. I think I'm dead. And I'm trying to fathom it. Like, and just logically try to like, what's going on? And then in this ear, my right ear, I heard a really sort of benign, pleasant woman's voice say to me, do you want to stay or do you want to go? Just like that. Like, it was not like, dun, dun, dun. Very, very peaceful, quiet, benign. And I didn't even get a chance to answer. I just thought about my kids, and I'm back. I'm in a hospital bed. I'm like, like just in pain. Like I'm in so much pain. It's like unbelievable. The first thing I hear is the nurse say, I have a pulse.
Oh, crap. Yeah.
And I'm just laying there going, I want to die.
I've never heard a freaking story like that in my life. Right off the bat, thinking river Styx.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like,
I said to them afterwards,
Yeah.
they came in and she goes, how can a guy like you with such great big veins have nothing in them? I'm like, I don't know. I just have a bad headache. Can I get something for pain? She goes, not until the doctors double check you and everything. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So they kept me in overnight, and they came in the morning. I'm like, okay, real talk, right? Did I die last night? And they're like, no, you didn't die last night. You just passed out. I'm like, I don't believe you.
If they didn't have anything on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's something that I heard when you hear, I've got a pulse. You'll hear that
Mhm.
from a lot of people who have NDEs.
Yeah.
What you don't hear is how you deaf the NDE.
No.
Mhm.
That is the only time I've ever heard that story is from you. I've never
The only
heard
thing I
anyone
know
say
about
that.
being in the hospital is unless you're dead, you don't stay in. They're just
No.
like, here's Tylenol, go home.
Yeah, they don't
And
keep you.
they kept me overnight. They wouldn't let me go till the following night. Like, if there's nothing wrong, then why did you keep me? It's so curious.
No, they don't
Mm.
keep. John gave Sabrina her kidney, and he was home the next day, 24 hours. Michelle's
What do
like,
you mean,
"What?"
right?
I'm like, "Yep, going home. I don't know
Apparently,
how
I
I'm gonna
passed
do
out in the
this."
hospital room and they kept me for a day.
That's because you passed out. If you need them, they will keep you. If you
Mm.
don't need them and someone's at home to check your temperature and your vital, that's it. It's
Yeah.
a different world.
All right, last
Okay.
question of the night.
Yes, Stevie, no wonder. Do you think if a person has an attachment and or mental illness slash trauma before passing, do they carry that on the other side? I don't know if you're aware, Stevie, that's about 3 questions, but yeah,
I'll sum it up as
Michelle will do it. Yeah.
well, no, I'll start. Everybody can chime in.
Yeah, no problem.
I think it depends how you die. If you die and you're fully aware that you're dead, you'll leave it all behind. But if you die suddenly and you're not aware, you could very easily, if you get grounded, it'll stay with you, in my opinion, because I've seen it multiple times. I'm sure Amelia has. Thoughts?
Yeah, an attachment doesn't follow into the heaven side of things.
No, but
Attachments, but it can in the karmic soul. That's the whole thing. This question can also be answered in a karmic way. If that's something that still has to be repeated and finished, again, the unfinished business, you can go into stories of generational curses and all other things as
it,
well with that.
it's pretty convoluted.
Yeah.
But let's just talk the attachment for a moment. This is what I try to warn people who like to play with things, and they end up with something and they think it's no big deal. These attachments, depending on what type of entity it is, for example, take that very seriously. The end prize, of course, is essence, yours. So we have seen spirits with attachments who are being fed off of or who cannot cross over because these things don't allow it. So be careful what you wish for in life. Be careful what you do. And because even if you're aware of your passing and you have a non-human attachment, an entity, you can pass and be fully aware. If it's got a hold of you, it's called an attachment for a reason. If you're stuck,
Yeah.
it can keep you there. And they've been known to torment spirits who are grounded. So
It grounded, yeah, but passing to the other side,
you can't
there
go,
you
well,
can't go
the
over
other
with
side,
the attachment.
the
Yeah.
other side can be simply grounded. You're in the
Yeah.
physical, but you're in the ether, you know. I think if you mean completely crossing over into the light, no, none of that goes with you. I don't think you can take it through. Wayne's story with his mom was a prime example of that. Do you have any last
Absolutely.
words, Wayne?
Oh, many.
All right. All right, go
Yeah,
nuts.
no, I think just one of the things I wanted to talk about that you and I had just recently talked about, nothing so much to do with the paranormal, but just in the state of the world right now, is energy. And Michelle and I talk a great deal about energy and how that we're energetic light beings on a physical material journey. We're here to learn from that. And I think what I'm noticing right now in the world, like there's so much short-temperedness, so much anger and frustration and all that. And it's no wonder, because as energy beings, we draw our energy from basically a soup bowl of energy. And if all we ever put into that soup bowl of energy is negative energy, well, eventually that's all we can draw from. So it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and worse and worse and worse. Like it's like peeing in your stew. If everybody does it, it just tastes like pee after a while. So I think for me, I'm trying so hard to put out a lot more positivity than being upset all the time. And I think if everyone can just take a breath just for a minute and just like, oh, that flower is really pretty, or look at that little cat, or that's really sweet, or something nice that goes into our cosmic energy food source. And we can't just go get another cosmic energy food source. We can't. So if we ruin that, then our soul being, our energy being has nothing to feed on. So we're kind of screwed.
I agree. I think that's a nice way to end off. Try to have happy thoughts, raise your vibrations, and positive vibes attract other positive vibes. Careful what you put into the collective. Make sure it's all, really positive things, and that's what will come back to you. So how does everybody find you?
They can't. I hide.
He's not on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't do social media at all.
No.
Man, that's not fun at all.
Right.
Zero. But
Right.
you can find me at my website, which is just www.waynemallows.com. My email is pretty simple. It's wayne.mallows@hotmail.com. And fire me an email. If I don't get back to you, maybe I went to the spam mail, shoot me another one again. I'm busy, but I'm not that busy. I try to get back to everybody that I can.
Now you're not on social media.
No.
Lucky man.
Sorry.
Lucky
know.
man.
That's a big negative.
I know. And so if anybody wants your books, they will get to you through
Email.
waynemallows.com.
Just go to the website, read them over, see if you dig them. If you dig them, shoot me an email, and
Right.
we'll figure out how to get you a book. Here in Canada, postage, we want your arm for postage, so just be aware of that. Like, I don't make
Yeah.
any money on the postage, nothing. That's just what Canada Post charges us to ship it out.
Right. Okay. Well, guys, it's the end of another awesome segment. So big thank you to our special guest and, my compadre, Wayne Mallows, and author of the Vampyre Tales. So check him out. Go to his website. You get to see and read the first chapter of all 4 books. And
Tune in
then
next month. We're going to talk about the comparison of nails and screws.
There we go. So big thank you to Folgers Coffee for sponsoring us tonight and every night. We appreciate you so very much. And thank you for continuing to be a part of our journey. Also, big thank you to Dr. Snick, aka Justin Snicker, the Sonic Surgeon, for providing us with your music and your voice for our intro and our outro. Big thank you to Steve McGinnis for the artwork for our banners and all of our promo here. Thank you. If you enjoy the show, guys, please like, subscribe, follow, share, you name it. We appreciate you. If you want to be on the show, or you would like to see someone on the show, or maybe there's a certain topic you would like to see addressed, please just email us at theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com, theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com, or go to the Outer Realm Facebook page and just click email. It will take you right to us. Tomorrow night, we welcome our dear friend, our producer, owner of United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network, Joe Montaldo. And we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff going on with the new whistleblower stuff. And I've also started doing a little bit of research on another type of extraterrestrial. And it's relative, well, maybe not new, but it sure is new to me. So a little bit of confusion with them, and maybe we're confusing grays with these specific. I know. Well, there's some that are not as love and light as the others. So I was like, I want more info. So I think Chris is going to pick Joe. I know, right?
Nightmare
Of course, we're going to
Thursday.
pick Joe's brain a little bit. So, and we
Yeah.
never know with Joe which way it's going to go. But I know it's always interesting and a lot of fun. So here's a couple more promos, and then we will sign off. And I hope you guys have a terrific weekend. Not a weekend. It's only Wednesday. Darn it! Somebody forgot to tell me it wasn't Thursday.
Wait a minute, is it Friday? Did I lose
I just
the day?
finished talking about our guest tomorrow night. I had a long day, people. I'm just going to leave it right there. We'll see you all tomorrow night. Chat. Here we go.
All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. Yes, it is that time of year again. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. UFO Undercover in the category of entertainment. UFO Undercover brings you some of the most revealing and current research that is being done with respect to alien abductions and contact. Host Joe Montaldo has been an abduction researcher for over 35 years and is uniquely qualified to bring you live interviews with some of the most well-known researchers in ufology. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate UFO Undercover in the category of entertainment. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and get out and vote now.
All right, everybody. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a very popular show hosted by Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, which boasts millions of listeners each week who are well known for and have been complimented on their very laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, esoteric, and other areas of high strangeness, and more. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm